Hello and welcome once again to the How Long to Beat podcast. I'm Rick, joined by Alex and Paula, and this week we've got a special guest, Discord mod and Doom mod enthusiast, Uvehj. Welcome to the show.
Hey, what's up?
Hey man, so as always with the guests we'll be doing a slightly different sort of setup, so we'll be getting to know Uvehj a little bit better, and then we'll be talking about what he's beaten, what he's retired, what we've all been playing, and then we'll finish up with his topic. And you lucky listeners, 2 games. We'll finish up with Guess the Game, where the aim of the game is to guess the guest's game. And then we'll finish off with everyone's favourite, How Long to Beat the Game.
Hey, we were all on the game there.
Yes, we were. And before we get into it, let's hear from everyone's favourite fantasy coach, Abatage, about what's been going on in the last 30 days of the Fantasy Critic League.
What's up, everybody? I'm Abatage, and this is your How Long to Beat Fantasy Critic League Roundup for April 2021. We had another relatively quiet month for releases, but a good number of pickups were made along the way. Right now, though, let's take a look at the current league standings. Once again, Funky Face Studios kept the top spot, despite having no new releases during April. Ubisoft also stayed in place, while receiving a strong 15 points for the release of Housemarque's next-gen shooter, Returnal. General Goods hopped into 3rd place with 13 points for the release of Nier Replicant, as well as 11 points for the new Pokemon Snap, knocking both Horny Mistress and Noise Labs down a notch, leaving them in 4th and 5th place respectively. Cockroach Content Corp also lost a place even with the release of Oddworld Soulstorm, which only added 1 point to their total. Frozen Frog and CD Projekt Rick swapped positions thanks to some updates to their overall scores, despite neither publisher releasing anything in April. Meanwhile, CD Product Refund and Mango kept it warm at the bottom of the pack, as they and everyone else had no releases during April. Now let's have a look at the latest pickups. CD Product Refund successfully acquired Dungeons & Dragons Dark Alliance for $5, leaving them with $40 left in their budget. Cockroach Content Corp successfully acquired I Am Jesus Christ for $2 and Aliens Fireteam for $11, leaving them with $49 in their budget. Noise Labs successfully acquired Oxenfree 2 Lost Signals for $25, leaving them with $55 left in their budget. Horny Mistress successfully acquired Weird West for $15 and the Outlast Trials for $20, leaving them with $55 in their budget. General Goods successfully acquired Age of Empires 4 for $5, leaving them with $80 left in their budget. And Funky Face Studios successfully acquired Chicory, A Colourful Tale for $1, leaving them with $39 left in their budget. For those playing along at home, that means that Funky Face Studios and Cockroach Content Corp have both filled all slots in their rosters, while Ubisoft, General Goods and CD Projekt Rick are each down to their last empty roster slot. This gives those with more open slots a lot of opportunity to pick up good announcements later in the year. However, we should all pay attention to the slow burn of our previous champion Pokken Paw, who has yet to see a release and receive any points. Is there a powerful beatdown coming? Only time will tell. We currently have 6 games set to release in May, including some first-time points for a couple of publishers, so stay tuned to see how it all shakes out. Thanks for listening, and back to the podcast.
Wow, wasn't that wonderful?
It was. So magical. It actually happened in real time. It was lovely. Right, well, do you want to kick off with the questions, Alex? Because this is very much your thing.
Yeah, this is my interview time.
Like the Canadian Jeremy Paxman.
Oh, there you go. Or whatever Canadian equivalent, I don't know. So anyway, so Uvehj, what part of the world do you live in? And how does that affect your gaming?
So I live in Spain, and that means that it's if the world is divided into sides between the arcades and cybercafes, Spain is mostly in the cybercafe stuff. So lots of, in my youth, going to the cybercafes, watching people play Counter-Strike, playing Warcraft, playing GTA with my friends. So that kind of stuff. And also, maybe there are not so many black markets for pirated copies of video games and such, but it used to be, I don't know how it is now, but it used to be that you went to a store and buy a PSP and they would ask, do you want it pre-modded or do you want it vanilla? So, and that's the regular electronics shop.
Wow.
And another thing that I think is pretty cool is that there's a heavy emphasis into adapting stuff into the Spanish language, and not only professionally, and there is a huge industry behind that, but there's also a very big push of amateurs that work with people from all type of Spanish-speaking countries.
Nice. And I suppose you have the benefit of Spanish language being a thing that goes beyond Spain. And
And usually, if you read the comments in any anime or cartoon or anything, the people will be fighting like, no, you're listening to the trash Mexican ABC dubs. You should listen to the Spanish. Those are the ones. And that kind of toxicity doesn't translate into the translator communities that work usually in multi-country groups. That I think that they do really good work on cooperating and bringing lots and lots of games that are not games, well, media in general, that are not in Spanish to a Spanish audience.
That's really
That's
cool.
awesome. And that was the thing with The Simpsons as well, right? I feel like that was a discussion at one point when like everyone's got like
It's the usual joke.
Their favorite version.
Oh my god. I was thinking that it's like kind of curious, like some Japanese games like only have an Spanish fan translation in Japan. For example, like Chaos Head, Noah, the BC.
Yeah, because the native speakers are, I think it's top 2 or 3 languages of native speakers in the world. So there is a big push to adapting all this media, and that's the reason that I could get into lots of games as a kid when I didn't know much English.
Nice.
Mm.
That is great. Okay, cool. Thanks. So, sorry, I was like remembering you're talking about like the Mexican versus the Spanish one too, and like, well, I learned Spanish in university. I'm just badly, right? But like I know French, so I can like when I see Spanish written out, I can understand it for the most part, right?
Yeah.
But like my teacher was Mexican, so she was teaching us like Mexican Spanish, and I remember listening at one point to someone speaking Spanish from Spain, and I went, is this a whole different language? What's going on? Like there's just like these different sounds, and I was like, I thought I learned Spanish, and I was like, oh no.
Yeah, I mean, and for the record, I was going to say that it's easy to understand between each other, and the people that commenting about the subs, they are just being assholes.
Right. Yeah.
assholes on the internet. Never.
Right.
One thing that is like kind of interesting, like from a country that it isn't like either like Mexico or Spain, is like what different like dubs or stuff we get here, or translations in general. You could get Spanish translations, or you could get Mexican translations. Like for shows, it's usually like the Mexican ones, but for let's say manga and books, we get a lot of Spanish translations. So you can like tell which media the person like consumes because of the different modisms between the different languages they pick up, or the different versions of Spanish they pick up.
Oh, that is neat. Cool. Okay. Well, so what's your gaming background or like preference? How do you game?
So I got into games with mostly with stuff like SimCity and Age of Empires, and I used to play a lot and watch my cousins play a lot in my grandfather's computer, because I think it was one of my uncles that had a Warcraft 2 in there, so we spent lots of afternoons there. And then I also got into Pokemon with a Game Boy. That was my first console, and I was mostly into PC until the PC I had was too old to play games. But and then I had a small period of time playing mostly on Xbox. I got into retro games and all stuff, emulating on the PSP, which I think I thought it was pretty uncommon, but now I know more people that got into retro games that way.
Yeah,
and
to be fair.
Mostly nowadays I just use my computer for gaming.
Nice. Yeah, you sound a lot like I'm like, yeah, that's very similar to my experience. Console. There's like it starts with like PC-ish stuff, and then you get like a Game Boy, and it's like, yeah, Game Boy, and then you move over to the console. I know. I always come back to PC gaming occasionally whenever I get like a new PC, and then like in 2 years, I'm like, not anymore.
Yeah, I mean, I was gonna get a PC for other hobbies, so I might as well just play that.
Yeah.
If you're spending the money anyway, why not, sort of thing.
I look forward to the day when I live in like a nice house where I can have an office with a big old good gaming PC. One day. Awesome.
Take out a second mortgage for the graphics card.
Did you add this question? This is great. So I just saw this question. Why are you so incredibly handsome? For those who yeah, we're all listening. He just can't stop it. Yeah, he's got gorgeous locks with the beard. This has been a common, a little Jonathan Van Ness-y, you know. I'm getting a little bit of that. It's very good. Did anyone catch that reference? No.
I was about to say, is that a Canadian reference that I'm too British to
No, it's Queer Eye. Come on. It's a great Netflix show.
Sorry, afraid not.
All right, it's fine. Not enough of you watch Drag Race. I'm showing my little like queer community-ness right now. Everybody look it up. It's great. All right, let's move on. So what's your choice? Rick's just losing his mind over here.
He lost Rick's here.
Digging.
I know. That's what I'm good at. I dig.
Oh, dear. Okay.
I was going to make a Dig Dug joke, but I've never actually played that game, so I don't know if it would work.
Stop it. Stop.
Why don't we sit in this moment for a little longer? All right, so... I'm kidding. All right, what's your console of choice and why?
So, well, I just say that since some years I only have a computer. And as I said, I was going to buy it anyway for other hobbies. And it's also my preferred platform, so I like having the gamepads and mouse and keyboard, and so for example, when the graphics card died, I just played with integrated graphics instead of going back to the Xbox or whatever, because it's something I enjoy, even though I had to lower the graphics, and it's not like my PC is the best thing ever. I'm not a graphics connoisseur, so it's a tower mostly for 2012. You know, with PCs they are with like the chip of the Theseus that you start swapping parts. So I can't really say. Some parts are from 2012, some are for 2014, and I think there's a graphics card from 2016 or so on the PC.
It just keeps
but
morphing.
It can run anything fine. Yeah, it keeps morphing and getting a bit faster and a bit faster.
Nice. Awesome. So, okay, I guess you sort of mentioned like Warcraft and seeing that sort of stuff and getting like Pokemon in the game color, but I'm wondering, like, do you have a moment where you feel like this is what got you into gaming?
A single moment, maybe getting into more the SimCity and stuff. That I got introduced to those games by a friend, and in that kind of game we totally align in what we like. And I think that talking about them and going home and then to school back to my friend to chat about what we were messing around with and such, I think that really made me a lifelong gamer.
Nice. It's interesting. I mean, I this is anecdotal, but it does seem like a lot of the stories about what gets people into gaming tend to revolve around some sort of social aspect to it, right? Like there's that. I mean, same for me, right? It was Pokemon Red, and then talking with my friend, he's like teaching me how to do it, and I was like, oh, and it like unlocks that like moment in your brain. Nice. And okay, the last story. What's the story behind your username?
So, well, I think I have already told it, but Uvehj is just the name for the letter V in Spanish. And, well, that's my IRL nickname. Because, I mean, there's no funny story behind it. It's just that my name has a V in it. So, and it's a very common name. It's like half of my friends are called the same. So, we each get a different nickname, and it's either a nickname, calling by your last name, or a mix of the two. So I'm Uvehj, and then I added like the same as Dragon, because the name is usually also taken, so I add a couple random letters at the end that are not pronounceable, unless you want to say like Uvehj or something like that.
Well, maybe I will
I'm
now.
certain I've told you that at least once. I'm certain that's happened.
So it's a bit less likely that it's taken. Not always. Sometimes I still find that I have to get a bit creative, but usually I get lucky.
Yeah, the HJ is silent.
Completely unrelated story before we moved on. I recently had to muck around with my my Ubisoft account because I've got a couple of free games on there. And I went through about 20 different names that were all taken. And I ended up just typing, "Oh my god, sort your username generator out." And like a fraction of that was accepted. I was like, oh, fuck it, I'll take that now. So like, my Ubisoft name is like, oh my god, sort, or something like that now. Just like all lowercase.
Just beautiful.
Oh, jeez, that's good.
No J's, unfortunately, but yeah.
Oh, sad. No J's.
all about that, Jay.
Well, why don't we move right along then?
So, if we move on to what we've beaten recently, why don't we kick off with what we all played on Friday, which was Monster Camp, the sequel to Monster Prom. And what everyone listening won't necessarily know is Uvehj is a veteran of the monster dating scene. Clocked in quite a few hours, quite a few dates. Certainly more than me and Alex.
My fault that I got you guys into the game.
Yes, you did actually. Yeah,
You did?
yeah. So Uvehj got Dragon into it, and then Dragon got me and Paula into it, and then it like became a thing. Yeah, curse you. But yes,
It's all his fault.
not that I think any of us are truly complaining. So yeah, I mean, Friday was a bit of a weird one because for once I was the only person that got a date, and normally it's the other way around. I'm the person who misses out, and everyone else gets it. So yeah, me and Best Boy Calculestra are going to grow some succulents together.
I wonder if some are like some of them harder than others to romance, because like I wonder if they're all the equal level.
Well, it depends on what. It depends on what you mean by harder.
Yeah. Well, Paula and I competed for one of them for the thick goth girl lady there, the witch. I can't remember what her name.
That wasn't you. That wasn't you, Alex.
What? Yeah, you and I competed, right?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, but because it was like, oh, maybe I could go for the same person. It's like, but we'll be competing. There are rules against like competing and stuff. And like, oh no.
Yeah, well, it was
So we were like trying to get the same person, so that each other and stuff.
Yeah, I mean, we both failed. It was
Or
bad.
not bad. It was bad. It was bad.
And it was a short game too, though, right? And I feel like in the short game, it's like I messed up on the very first one, and I knew from that moment on, I was like, this game is a wash. Which is sort of tough, right?
I messed up in the very last one.
Yeah,
Even the long ones, when you fail, you get a penalization, so it's harder to pull yourself up.
Mm-hmm.
So even if we had played a longer one, maybe the results would have been more or less the same.
Right? Yeah, it's like, oh god, right from the start, when it happens so early, you're just like, all right, well, I might as well. I really should have just gone for chaos at that point.
And camp definitely feels more strict in terms of the cutoff. Like, I feel like you can get away with a little bit more in prom. But like, even overall then with the drinks and the everything else, I still think that camp is the better game. And prom doesn't have Professor Flodge or whatever they call him.
Yeah, Counselor
Chameleon?
Flodge.
Chameleon.
That's the one.
Counselor
The
Flodge.
best character in any game ever.
Very good. Nice. So, Uvehj, can you tell us a little bit, what have you been playing? You got a whole bunch of things that you've beaten here.
So yeah, I have a bunch of games. Well, for starters, I know that you guys like to explore into the itch.io games. So I've picked a couple. One of them is free, and the other one was included in that itch.io Black Lives Matter's Giga bundle with thousands of games. So hopefully I can give a nudge to pick one game from there.
Nice.
So the one that was free was Angerfoot, and it's a game about shooting fast and kicking faster, a bit like Hotline Miami with a dedicated kick button and in first person. So it's a very short play, more like a tech demo, but mechanics are simple but are polished, and it works fine. And you control it like a regular shooter. You can throw your gun, and all the other keys in your keyboard are for kicking. So it's a bit like kicking down doors, throwing those doors into people's faces. Depending on your movement, you make different kind of kicks. It doesn't really matter in the mechanics wise, but it's just so you can feel badass while doing so. And I think I got through it in 30 minutes or 40 minutes, so it's an easy game to recommend.
Sounds like
and
a
the music
Rick
is
game.
It sounds very me. Yeah.
Yeah, I think he will probably enjoy it.
Funnily enough, I already
The other
downloaded
one was,
it, so I'll get to it soon, I'm sure.
and the other one was The Night of the Consumers, and that's the one that was included in the bundle. And it's a horror game about working in retail. So graphics-wise and such, is a bit those games that imitate the PS1 look. So it's a lot like Silent Hill in the sense that the bad graphics hide and kind of make they do give it a spooky atmosphere. But there's not like a killer in the supermarket or no. The thing that you are afraid of is of the consumers in the supermarket going, excuse me, where can I find it? And you have to restock the shelves, and you have a limited amount of time to get through it. So each time you get interrupted by excuse me, you are losing a bit of time. So it's a bit like running through the aisles, hiding in the employee restroom, and then trying to do all of the tasks fast. And obviously, also if not only are you losing time, but if you fail to help these customers, they'll complain to your boss, and you get fired.
Now that sounds a very Alex game.
Honestly, yeah.
I didn't enjoy that much the mechanics, but the premise is solid. So recommend it with a bit of an asterisk. But if you got the bundle, and the game is also pretty short. It's long because you're gonna fail a lot. But going through it, you can do it in 7 minutes. It's 7 minutes for your final run, and maybe 40 minutes to learn how to do that final run.
I see.
Right.
Okay.
And anyone who missed the bundle, it's less than $2.
Oh yeah, I think it was €130. So pretty cheap.
Yeah, so about $150. Because this is another one that I'm thinking I may well actually give a little twirl, maybe.
Mm-hmm.
Sounds like what it was like when I worked in a grocery store. I'm like, no.
I've also beaten my submission to OtoMay, which was the Cinderella phenomenon, which is also free, so easy to recommend. And I say I'm not a big visual novel fan, but I do enjoy them from time to time, and I've enjoyed this one. It's a bit, you could say, a bit cheesy, a bit tropey, but in a good way, I think, because it pulls a lot from the classic stories of mostly the Grimm brothers, so Cinderella, Pinocchio, and such. So it kind of leans a lot into that, and the whole story feels like a fairy tale. So if you don't like visual novels, it's not gonna make you change your opinion. And if it has also a pretty weak roster of husbandos, because for the first playthrough, for starters, 2 of them are blocked, and there's only 5 of them in the whole game. And it has the whole one is your stepbrother, so kind of
Yep.
questionable.
I don't particularly like that one either.
The other one is trapped in a boy's body, and I know that once the story gets going, it will go back into a man, but also questionable. I didn't like it.
Mm-hmm.
And out of the 2 remaining for the first playthrough, one of them was a bit of a creep, so I had the choices made.
You're really telling it.
Overall, positive.
Nice. It kind of like it guided you right to the one you're like, this is the one I'm going for.
Yeah, because they are
for
there are
Karma
2
then.
that I like. I went for Karma, yeah. So the one that is your childhood friend, or it's not really your childhood friend, but it kind of goes into that trope. Out of the 2 that I thought were okay, only one of them was available. And yeah, I've also beaten Vampire the Masquerade Shadows of New York, which is the second visual novel set in the Vampire Masquerade world. And it's fine, the story is not great, the art is great, and the vibe, the whole mood of the game, I think is spot on. And if you do like that, that's the only enjoyment you'll get out of it. Recommended if you want to get into soak the atmosphere, but if you are getting for the story, it's a bit better than the first one, but I wouldn't recommend it either.
So is that one for all the listeners who are waiting for Lady Dimitrescu in a few weeks' time?
Not even a few weeks. It's the end of this week.
Oh, is it? Oh,
May
really?
7th.
I didn't realize it was that soon.
Listen, folks, next podcast, you're going to hear some Resident Evil.
I was going to say 3 guesses which of our hosts has been counting down to get stepped on.
Yeah. Well, see, I don't know. I've never seen like the tall girl thing. I'm like, is this no kink shaming? Everyone enjoys their things. I'm very happy for people who like tall women.
I'm gonna send you so many memes
I know.
from that game now.
Yeah, right. I'm like, oh no. Great. What else have you been getting into there?
Okay, yeah, I'm almost done now. I've also beaten kkrieger.
That's the 96 kilobyte one, isn't it?
Yeah, that's an 8-minute game, but it's the cool thing about it, because as a game, no, doesn't have anything special. But as a tech demo, it's great because the whole game weighs, I think, a bit less than 97 kilobytes.
Whoa.
It's a fully 3D shooter with textures, with music, with lightning, with pretty simple, but it's way less than anything. It's stupid how little space it takes.
Although, it unpacks into a few gigabytes if the video is anything to go by. It's just that it starts out
it unpacks into memory, into RAM memory. The download you make on the internet is 96 point something kilo.
Yeah, it's crazy.
So and Rix talks about the video, and the video is way more interesting to see that the game is to play. But it's always cool to watch a video of something cool and then try it for yourself. And it's only 8 minutes. And lastly, I've also been playing obviously some more Doom mods, and I've been getting into mixing different mods. So I picked Scythe, which is a map mod, and Hellrider, which is a gameplay mod, and they don't conflict too much, so they work fine. And Scythe is a pretty sweet mod. It has lots of maps, but they are all really small. I mean, the first ones maybe can fit in the first room you play through in regular Doom.
Okay.
So they are tiny, very one note, but they take the idea and run with it. And the other one is Hellrider, which is a gameplay mod. It's very over the top. You have a dedicated tomahawk button. You have a dedicated button for sliding and kicking the monsters, and I think it was a good fit for Scythe, and I think it really has enhanced my enjoyment with the game.
I just love the idea that you can't get your fix from one mod anymore. You've had to up your dosage.
They must combine.
Dear me.
Some Dragon Ball Z fusion vibes.
I know. Uvehj doesn't have a mother addiction. He just can't stop whenever he wants.
That's exactly it. Speaking of things you've stopped, segue.
Oh,
why don't you?
My bad.
Oh,
why don't you tell us about your retirement?
Yeah, I don't usually retire games. They are usually just backlogged infinitely. So the last game I've quote-unquote retired is Wizardry 6, which for those who don't know, it's a dungeon crawler, and it's famous for being obtuse and hardcore even for dungeon crawler standards. And I'm not even good at regular dungeon crawlers. So I'm glad that I've tried it. I'm glad that I've learned a bit of the systems. I've learned about this type of game that I usually never get into. But unless you are really into dungeon crawlers, you're not going to enjoy it.
Yeah, that's fair. They're very much a genre unto themselves, and I like a few of them, but they definitely get to the point where you probably need a guide as a regular person.
I thought about using a guide, but even going with a guide, it's hard. It's
Damn.
and just navigating the maps, and the game originally had no maps. Even using a mod to have a map in the game, I was still completely lost.
Oh no.
Man. You have to get an Etrian Odyssey. That is like the dungeon crawler to get into. Maybe not the original one, like 4 on the 3DS is a really good start.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I know. I know what I knew I was getting.
You were ready for the punishment. You're like, I'm here. All right. Well, why don't we move along to what we've been playing?
Given it's OtoMay, do you want to kick us off, Paula? Tell us a little bit about Diabolic. What the latest is there.
Okay, I don't actually have the modded beta with me, so I haven't finished like the third route I'm going through right now. That is the road of a character named Lido. But it's like the important part here is like the voice actor, because this voice actor in particular, that is like Hirakawa Daisuke. Yeah, Hirakawa Daisuke. This voice actor voices like a very particular kind of character, either because the company he's like attached to just makes him do that kind of character. And I'm scared. I am scared for my life, because this is like the one character that everyone says like, oh no, now this character pretty much gave me like a PTSD or when I hear like the voice actor's voice, pretty much. So I'm like, I fear. This character in particular, I already didn't like him like before, because he kind of likes to get the main character into trouble. Like, he's just like, there's like, the air is kind of tense or anything like that. And he's like, oh, let's just fan the flames a little bit. I'm kind of bored, so let's see where this leads up to. And in his route, he isn't like any better. He's like, it is like the kind of character, it is the kind of character that is like, okay, they are like very tearful, but this character can say like the worst things with a big smile on their face, and you know everything is gonna go south when they pull like that kind of like cold, anger-filled voice. And I'm like, uh-oh. I think I'm gonna continue playing this one later, and I haven't picked it up since then, mainly because I don't have like the modded beta with me at the moment. Moving on to some games that I've been being able to play. Well, because E5, it is pictures. Moving on. Animal Crossing New Horizons for Nintendo Switch, because I seemingly can't get enough of that game, even though it's been over a year since it released. And I logged in like today to get my turnips. There was a May event going on, the May Day.
So no turnips?
No, there were turnips, but there was also May Day that you pretty much like are able to go into a special island that is a maze, and you can solve the maze and get like some coupons to redeem for money, pretty much. And you find like the cat character Rover, I think his name was, the one who welcomed you in New Horizons, and he was like the one who set up like this whole maze thing. And it was actually like pretty challenging, because like at first it was like, okay, this won't take me long, and then I noticed that I wasn't able to keep going forward because I ran out of fruit, because you need to eat fruit like to move like trees and rocks out of the way. And the maze relied on opening paths by like either like cutting down trees or like removing the rock that is like blocking the path. And then I was like, okay, I can do this again. I can like manage my fruit better here. Well, no, because I got to the crafting bench and the material was locked behind something else. And I was like, oh no, I can craft the ladder that I need to finish this, or to get like the axe that I seized there. But no, it's like, and then I just got frustrated because then I got the axe and noticed that you can only like cut down like one tree. And it was like, okay, fuck this. One more try. If not, I'm done. I did actually like get out of the maze, but it wasn't pretty. Frustration aside, it was like pretty fun. So if any, wait, no, I can't like actually like chat off the event because it would be like
It'll be over.
gone by the time we upload this.
Yeah.
Well, great. Then Pokemon Soul Silver, because I was like I wanted to play like something that feels familiar, and I did it with a twist. Instead of like doing a Nuzlocke, I pretty much like sticking to only Gen 2 Pokemon, and I really like built my team on paper. No HM slaves, so the HMs are like integrated into the team. I can't catch anything that I didn't write down first. So I had to pass like the first gym with Chikorita pretty much. The first team is a flying type
I
team.
remember.
The second team is a bug type team. Everything is a little bit more challenging because I'm using stuff that I wouldn't normally use, or I am not using stuff that would have made my life easier. So I had to get creative and use my Togepi to pretty much like put the team leader Scythe to sleep because it was being a pain in the ass. And then like use metronome to get lucky and get anything that worked. And I got a bulk up, and it was enough like to survive whatever the Scythe did to the poor Togepi. And after like 10 attempts, I beat the gym. So it is like, and it was like actually fun because it wasn't like in a Nuzlocke, but every battle like counts and everything is so fucking stressing. But it wasn't like a regular run where I just like took my starter and pretty much kill off everything. So that has been interesting so far. Finally, and this is a game that I suppose we three, the regulars of the podcast, were playing. That is Psychedelica of the Asian Hawk. I started like half an hour before the recording. I'm currently like in chapter 1, like going through all the characters, like introductions. And I just love how the protagonist like thinks, or how her like thought process and personality is. So yeah, what have you all been playing, Rick?
Yeah, well, so I've been playing Soul Silver as well, but I've not been such a masochist about it. I've just been playing it, but then again, it's also my first time, so it's a different experience in that sense. This week I've mainly been playing, and this is sort of a running theme of my playthrough as a whole, I've been playing mainly with the Pokewalker. So I just caught a Dratini through that. In fact, no, I caught 2 Dratini. So one has gone back into the game. I'm going to try and level that up. The other one I'm using on some of the other routes on the Pokewalker to farm for items and other Pokemon. I'm having an okay time with it. It's Pokemon. I sort of, it's where I was expecting it to be, in the sense that it's fun when it's not kind of boring, or I'm not sort of lost of where to go, which has sort of been a thing once the map started opening up a little bit. I've had to occasionally sort of potter around towns trying to find out from NPCs what the next thing on the quest is. I think at one point I had to consult a guide, but it's okay. I mean, I don't have too much extra to say about it at this stage. I've played some more Rocket League, and I only bring this up because, and this is so unlike me, I 100%ed the achievements for it this week, which, yeah, for anyone who listens regularly, you'll know that achievements just don't bother me at all, usually. But I was in the middle of some games, and I went into the... Oh, sorry, go on.
The multiplayer achievements are usually pretty... I was going to say hardcore, but usually grindy or awful to get through. Are the Rocket League ones better, or...
Well, the first thing you've got to remember is I've got 1,900 hours in that game. So anything that's grindy, I've sort of already done by accident. And this is the thing with the achievements. So there are 88 achievements in the Steam version of Rocket League, which has actually been delisted since the Epic buyout. But fuck Epic, I still play through the Steam client. That's still the version I've got. So of the 88, I'd done 75 without having to do anything. And so I saw this 75 of 88 on the overlay, and I thought, I wonder what the other 13 are, just out of curiosity. And 11 or 12 of them were just use X car for Y games, score A number of goals with B cars, There were a couple where it wanted me to wear specific toppers on specific maps. So over the next sort of hour and a bit of gameplay, I just was swapping things in and out as I was playing, as I would anyway, and got up to 87. The last one was a bit of a grind, so it wanted me to play an offline season and win using a specific car. But what I did, because the AI bots for Rocket League, even on the highest setting, are dumb as rocks, dumb as a Shea Blunt, you might say. But so what I would do is I would play for the first minute, because it's 3v3s in the seasons. I'd get 10 or 12 goals up, and then I'd do something else for 4 minutes and just leave it on in the background and let the CPU take the wheel, sort of thing. So it took me, in terms of hours, maybe another hour and a half, but I was playing the game for maybe a quarter of that, if that. So I've cleared all those achievements out, and that is a pointless little thing that I did this week. Other than that, I've still been playing Cosmic Star Heroine. Really, really liking it. It's really started to click the mechanics. It's nice in that, and I think I said this last week, it streamlines in a really compelling way because the items auto regenerate. Your health tops itself back up after every battle. You haven't got a mana point pool to manage or maintain or anything like that. The equipment's very simplified. So everything's focused towards the world and the gameplay and what story there is. And it's good fun. And it's nice on the Vita. It's easy to sort of pick up and put down. As will Psychedelica be when I start that. I haven't started it yet, but I will be starting it soon.
Yeah, I'd almost liken Cosmic Star Heroine to Final Fantasy V, for me at least, like in the sense where they're both games where I think they had excellent and very engaging systems and like gameplay things, and that the story ends up lacking. Like that's why I dropped Cosmic and Final Fantasy V, because I was like, no, these are both fun. Like these are good. It's just that there wasn't enough to keep driving me forward, you know? But like, because I agree with you, like everybody's saying, I'm like, yeah, it's a fun game, and it's really worth trying out. But I do think it's kind of one of these examples where it's like the gameplay is so strong, but I'm like missing some of the story. I'm like, I just want a little more, you know, not too much, just a bit. Yeah.
It's too early to say really how I feel exactly about that. My impression, because I'm about an hour in, it just feels like sort of Amdram sci-fi at the moment.
Yeah.
That's the problem. It all feels very rote and impenetrable in the way that something that someone's just sort of thrown together would be. You know, there's various alien names and planets. There's different federations with acronyms. None of it's really sinking in. And that might be a little bit of me. It's probably mostly the game. But that's not necessarily what I'm here for anyway. So it's all, for now, it's all good. Whether it becomes a problem later, we will see. A game where story is completely not a thing is Donkey Kong Country Returns. And I have to say, this one's really sunk its claws in now. I've really found the fun with it. One of the big things was actually just switching the controls around. So I think when I started it last time, I had grab on the face buttons and I had ground pound on the shoulder buttons. And you actually use grab much less. So I've liked it much more with grab on the shoulder button. The game goes hard in places. Like, on each world, you have like 5 or 6 normal stages and a boss stage at the end. And then you have an extra stage that's unlocked by buying a key. That's fine. The currency for that, you're sort of showered in as you play through the game. But they also, once you've cleared all the main levels in each world, have a K world. So instead of 1, 1, 1, 2, 1, 3, it's 1K. I played the one in the first world, almost snapped my 3DS in half a couple of times, beat it, and then decided that I'd maybe leave all the rest of the K levels. I mean, we'll see. It may well be that I just can't get enough, and once I get to the end of the game, I really feel like going back for them. But as it stands, I'm just playing through all the normal levels, not worried about puzzle pieces. I'm just getting all the Kongs, and it's really good. It's really nice. It translates to 3D quite well. Obviously, I'm quite a big advocate of the 3D slider on the 3DS. I know that's not everyone's cup of tea, but it's nice. Particularly, there's a level in the second world where there's a constant threat of the wave that's coming from the background into the foreground, and you have to make sure that you're behind shelter every time that crashes through. And the 3D effect meshes really nicely with that wave sort of encroaching closer and closer and closer. So I'm having a lot of fun with that one. And then the last one, I've not really played it this week, but it's still on my list, is Scourgebringer. And like I said, I haven't really played it, but I still feel the same way I did. I think it's excellent. and I'm hoping that excellence sort of maintains through the whole of the campaign. But we'll see, I suppose. That's not the case. I suppose, Uvehj, you being on this week has come at quite a good time, because in terms of gaming, I've not done a lot. My ongoings are still fine, but I've not retired anything, and the only game I've beaten is one of the Metal Slugs, which I started and completed in the space of about an hour. So, but more on that one next week. Don't let me get ahead of myself. Alex,
yeah, I was actually going to say I'm sort of the opposite of you. I've actually beaten so many games this week, but I'm going to kind of talk.
You're on an exam come down, though. You're excused.
Yeah, I'm going to talk a little bit actually about a couple games that I have actually beaten, but I want to talk about them now because there's some stuff that it'll make sense next week. But basically, Outriders, I've sort of beaten the main campaign sort of thing of it, but there's some extra things that are afterwards that I might check out a little bit just to like talk on. I don't really want to, but I might just look to see what it's about. But that game, I gave it like an 8 out of 10 for me. I think it's more like a 7.5. Like, I think that's exactly where it is, you know? Like, it's a 7.5. Like, it is a good game. The online always thing brings it down a point or two. And the thing is that it has a really interesting setting. And I actually found myself, for a while, there's like this middle part of the game where I'm sort of like, I don't really care what's going on here. And then they start opening up this alien world that you're on, and you start learning more about that world, and you're like, oh, this is kind of interesting. Like, you know, it starts to like do this thing, and the game is actually kind of at its best when it sort of takes its sci-fi self seriously, because it has a clash of tones, and I actually wish it would have stuck with its more serious intention of sci-fi, because I think it really wants to be this kind of like intense sci-fi game about like colonizing a new world and how it goes to shit right away. And what happens though is that you get this opening that is like really incredible, and then you're dropped into this. Suddenly the dude's all kind of like, I'll kill people, you know, like, and he kind of like, it's just very irreverent and like kind of that like I don't care about anything sort of joking around that
hammed up.
It's a bit hammed up in a way that's like just kind of stupid, but then it also wants you to feel something for some of its characters later, and I was like, I don't give a shit about these people, man. Like, you've made my guys kind of hammed up. Why would I care about any of these people? But the story itself is fascinating, and what I found though is a little tough. So it has a level up system, right? And I found out that there's a cap, and the cap is 30 levels. So I hit that well before near the end of the game. I was like, the other day I hit the 30 cap, but then it also has the world tier system, right? Where the world tiers level up, and as you like gain new world tiers, you can get better loot, and you also like raise your level cap and also all the monsters. So effectively, that's how you continue to level up. But I really hate this, and I don't know if this is a system in other games or something, but the world tier system, if you die, your world tier goes down, and like a chunk of the bar goes down. And it seems like it's fucking random, because I will go through and I will fight like 4 encounters where I decimate and I increase my world tier by like, you know, half of the bar, and then I lose one goddamn fight, and it's like it takes a third of the bar off, and I'm like, what the hell? I was like, I worked so hard to get that up. And I was like, it's not my fault I died. I didn't know, you know?
I mean, it sort of was your fault you died.
Yeah, but like, sometimes, no, but this is
in
the
the most
issue.
technical of senses.
In the most technical, but this is the issue, right? Is that in this game, it's a weird game where it's a cover shooter, but not really, because they fucking swarm you in this thing. And oftentimes you're getting shot by like just so many people. And I really hate that system, because often you have to learn like what's the layout of the level so that you can actually effectively go through and like kill everything. And then it's like you get penalized for trying to figure that out, you know? So it actually kind of forces you to play a little more conservatively. And like once you figure out something that works, you don't actually want to change up and explore the other things, because it's like, yeah, but if I change and die, I'm going to, you know, fucking lose my bunch of my world tier level stuff, and I'm not going to get to see some of the cooler things. So I was a little frustrated with that. And like the grind from the 6 to 7 and 7 to 8 is insane. Like that is the area of the game, because you're also going to be at points where you're not allowed to upgrade your equipment because you've like lost your teammates for a bit. So if you get stuck with like lower weapons, or if, God forbid, you level up in the middle of that, and all the enemies suddenly level up, you're screwed, or you have to like drop the world tier down, and that's no fun, right? Like I don't want to drop it down just to beat it. So anyway, I'm really harsh on this right now, but it's just because like I really enjoyed most of it, and it was just like there's like these little things that I'm like, I hope they can make a sequel, because I do think this game is worthy of that. And if they iron out some of those bugs, I think it could be like a really, really good game. So anyway, that's me talking too long about Outriders. Also, I can't really complain. I was playing this for Game Pass. It was free basically, so I'm like, whatever. I can't complain too much. I'm also playing Halo 3
Didn't
ODS.
stop you, they did it.
yeah, still complaining. Playing ODST. Awesome. That game's great. My partner's also getting so good at this now. Barely ever dies. But it's a really fun, and like she also said, like it's a nice change of pace from when you go from like Halo 3, which Halo 3 is still my favorite of them so far. But like it's this nice sort of like quieter change of pace, and the story is so dumb. And like, I mean, oh my God, it's so like action movie dumb, but so it's good in that sense, but it's just like very much, they're all just living, walking tropes. But it's fun, you know, you're a human, you're less powerful than Master Chief. The stakes feel like more real, at least in the first half. It starts to kind of fall apart in the second half, but like, because the fact that you're sort of humans, it does feel like a little more like intense in that way, and there's just a better sense of scale, I think, because Master Chief's just so godly that like, you know, nothing really feels that like big and intimidating, but like in this one it does. Also playing Everhood. I haven't played much more of it really, just haven't had a chance to touch it much. Started playing Rain on Your Parade, which is on Game Pass, where you play as a little cloud and you're basically raining on people. And it's kind of like Overcooked in that sense, but it's like, but just a single player version, you know, where you have like the levels and it's like the physics based stuff. And it's really funny. There's a really funny Easter egg level in there. It's charming. It's cute. It's actually a pretty good puzzle game too, because like you'll have objectives that you have to complete. Actually, you know what it's like? It's like Goose Game. It's basically Untitled Goose Game, except you're a cloud.
Oh.
Yeah, that's exactly what it is.
When you're describing it, I sort of had Donut County in my head.
Yeah, but I would say it's more like Goose Game than Donut County. Yeah, because Donut County basically gives you like one task in each thing, right? It's just get this thing. But in Rain on Your Parade, it's like every time you enter, you're going to have a list, and there are hidden objectives as well. And so it's more of a puzzle game. Yeah. Sorry, Paula.
You have my attention, sir.
Yeah. Oh, seriously, this game is awesome. Like it's really fun. And it's only like maybe 2-3 hours or something like that to play. Like I'm probably already halfway through it, and it's just fun. You can customize your cloud to have little funny things. I have a frog on my cloud right now who's just like cute and adorable, and it's like cardboard design. So like the cloud is like a piece of cardboard that's floating on strings. So it has that like handmade feel to the entire thing. It's really cute. I highly recommend this one.
Maybe Paula's Game Pass subscription's got a stay of execution.
Maybe.
I wonder if I have like a week or so left.
Yeah, fine.
Yeah, although
tackle that game.
Although it is also on Steam, albeit for £12.
Yeah, it's not very expensive because it's a short little game that's just kind of cute. I also started Psychedelica of the Action Hawk, which I will admit. I was like, I might have been a little high last night when I was playing that game, and I was like, whoa! I got out of this. I was like, what's going on? Was I a girl? I'm a guy now. What's happening? I'm like, there's.
I just wonder how you perceive like the opening movie.
I was laughing so hard. It was like anime, and I was like, oh, here we go. And I'm like, look at all these boys. I'm like, all right, let's do this. But I genuinely couldn't tell if some of the characters were guys or girls or not, though. I was like, wait, who? Huh? Wait, what's going on? And then there was like Master. I was like, wait, who's the Master? Wait, why is he a Master? I don't understand. Where does I go? Whatever. This is interesting. And so I'm just like, I'm thoroughly lost, but thoroughly enjoying myself so far.
What have I got to come?
Yeah, I'm only in the first chapter. It's a lot of, let me just say, the intro movie is a lot of like swooshing, and like twinkly music. We'll put it that way. That's the best way I can describe it. Is that accurate, Paula? Yeah. A lot of blues.
That's the description.
Okay, good. That's a Tommy. I'm excited. What?
I was just curious because you were saying like you were like high as spike, and there was like this section of the opening that has like these like kaleidoscope like effects that it was like
Oh yeah, no, lots of that. I was sitting there going, "Ooh, pretty light," like that kind of thing. It was pretty good. It was like an opening to like a big movie or something. Like it was. I was like, production value on this shit. Like they're going there. So I'm excited to keep going through. It's intriguing so far. I'm like, there's something with witches and red eyes and things. All right, let's find out what's going on. So anyway, that's me. That's what I've been doing. Just lots of gaming this past week because this is my vacation week before I start like my returning to a job that I had before I was doing school. So that's that. Uvehj, why don't you tell us? What about you? What are you playing?
So there are a couple of games that I've just started a bit. So one of them is Blade of Agony, which is a standalone game that it runs in the GC Doom engine, so not the original Doom engine. But well, for starters, John Romero himself was tweeting about how great the game is. So if you're what was a mod and now is a full game gets a full endorsement from the original creator, I think that must feel pretty great.
Damn right.
And so far so good. I've just tried it for a moment, and it's more like story based, more like the original Medal of Honor. Have several objectives. It's World War II theme. So far, I think it's excellent. We'll see how it goes. And I've also just started. I'm close to the start of Shadowrun Hong Kong, and I haven't played much of it, but I really enjoyed the other two games in the trilogy. And for the people that don't know, it's a strategy tactics turn-based game. So and what I really enjoy about it is the setting, because it's near future, but I think in the setting that something happened in I don't know if it's 2030s or something like that, and suddenly the world opened and there was the fantasy world kind of got into the game. So it's a bit like cyberpunk, a bit less futuristic, and there are like elves and trolls, but yeah, I mean there are trolls and such, but maybe it's a troll that is also a hacker, or a mage that if you have two actions in the turn, one action is throwing a fireball and the other one is shooting someone with a pistol. And I'm playing an elf shaman and I'm getting points into assault rifles too. So it's all about invoking the spirits of the earth so that I can shoot faster.
Nice.
My brain is hurting from that.
It's
they're pretty good. At least the previous two ones, and this one got even better reviews than, well, maybe so with the second one. So I'm expecting the game to be pretty good.
And it's worth saying, anyone who's been keeping up with the Epic freebies, I think they gave away all three a little while back. I mean, I'm pretty certain I bought the first two, and then I think the third one, which is like Dragon something, isn't it?
Dragonfall is the second one.
Oh, right. So Hong Kong's the third one.
Yeah.
Right. So I think Hong Kong's the one that I got through the Epic. I'll double check as we're going along, but
there's also
they've been given away, so you might have them anyway. Go on.
Oh, like I said, I've been modding my SNES Mini, right? And there's a Shadowrun on the SNES that I've popped on there.
There is.
I think many people have played, but apparently it's pretty good.
To come full circle, I actually have a copy of that on my SNES emulator on my PSP, which I don't know about you, that I still use mine for emulation. I've got the Neo Geo Pocket emulator, so Metal Slug Second Mission is on the upcoming. But there's loads. I mean, it's such a nice, if you haven't gone through the steps for a Vita, then having a PSP with the emulators, most 8 and 16-bit stuff, it handles really well. And then obviously you've got PS1 native emulation. So it's just a lovely system for that generally. I've derailed us, sorry.
Yes, what else have you done?
I've also been going through WRC5, that's World Rally, the FIA World Rally Championship, not to be mixed with the other game series that it's also called WRC FIA World Rally Championship, and it's also numbered exactly the same.
Wow, that's dumb.
So the thing is, they kind of fucked up the first games in the series, and they eventually got good. So I got into the series with WRC 7. So if anyone wants to get into this series for some reason, well, first I'd say go play Dirt Rally instead. But if you want to, start with either 7, 8, or any of the previous ones, and only go to the first ones if you want to see how they kind of progress through the games. They start making them better. That was kind of why I'm doing it. I went through WRC 4, and now I'm playing 5 and watching out the differences. The slight improvements is still not great, but I'm curious to see where when I go to 6, do that even more improvements until I get to the game I originally played. I thought was perfectly fine and way better than these ones.
Nice.
And I've also been playing Lego Harry Potter years 1 to 4. They are two games, 2 Harry Potter games, and one is for the first 4 movies, and the second one is for the others. And I've been playing it with my girlfriend, and I gotta say that I understand what the Lego games are going for, but the thing is that I find this one particularly repetitive and boring, even compared to I know they are easy and a child can go through them, and in fact the children are the target demographic of the games. But the other ones, even the Star Wars ones, the Lord of the Rings ones, they are very enjoyable to see how they kind of put this spin into the movies. I think gameplay wise, those are miles better. This one is super repetitive, in not awful, but kind of they all have a small open world, and here is the School of Magic, obviously. But you kind of go from point A to point B to point A, back to point B, and constantly going backtracking, and it's always like all the way to the east, now all the way to the west, now next mission, back again to the east. And it's not terrible, but I'd say out of all the ones that I've played, by far the worst one.
Oh, yeah.
But it's always.
I was gonna say the Force Awakens one is actually like a good game, because that one is more of like a game than a Lego game. I don't know if that makes sense, but like there are so many different gameplay things you do. I remember playing that one and I was like, this is good.
Yeah, it's more varied, than the other ones.
Yeah.
So I mean, it's still charming to see the scenes from the movie interpreted by the people with they don't even speak. They did introduce the voice acting later on in the series, but for this one they are only doing grunts and such. And I do think that's charming, but if you want to get into the Lego games, pick another one first, unless you are really into this franchise. The last game I've been playing is Crusader Kings 3, which I haven't played too much still, but I think that so far, for what I've seen, that it's a great introduction for new people to the series. They are famously obtuse, and even though I've played like 25 hours or so of Crusader Kings 2, I don't know what I'm doing. I'm just improvising. And in this one, I went through the tutorial, and I thought it was, less obtuse. It does ease you into the mechanics way more than the previous one. And even I felt like, oh no, this is easy. I'm practically a veteran. So I, for the first playthrough that I tried, I enabled Iron Man. That's no reloading the game. So if you fuck it.
No save scamming, basically, yeah.
Yeah, save scamming. You can save and then go back in, but you cannot go back to a previous save, and it saves constantly. And I enabled all the realism options that there are, and I let them all enabled, and I bumped up the difficulty. Even before, because I'll tell you guys what I did just after that. But even if I didn't do that, I don't think I would have succeeded in the game. I bite way more than I could chew, and the game is easier than the second one, but it's still pretty complicated. But then when I even after going and enabling all the difficulties, I was tempted by the monarch creator, because you can change attributes and how they look and such. And I was like, oh, well, maybe I can put some good attributes in this monarch, make it a bit easier. And what reading the list of the attributes I could put on it, it was like, oh, so she could be a witch and also a cannibal witch. I'm sure there will be lots of mischief, lots of fun situations that will arise from this. And no, I just started the game. Everyone hated me because I was a witch. Everyone hated me because I was a cannibal.
Who would have thought?
Tracks.
And the playthrough died in like 20 minutes because I couldn't even save scum to save myself. So now I've restarted the game. No Iron Man mode, a bit easier, and I'm trying to form Portugal. So let's see how it goes.
Nice. On that note, why don't we move along then to the topic/question of the week? Uvehj, do you want to introduce this? This is the topic you wanted to talk about.
Okay, so the topic that I brought was cheating in video games. So a bit about if you guys ever cheat in video games, if you do, when, and then a bit about good memories, memorable cheats, cool ways to use it, and obviously the flip of the coin, bad experiences with either people cheating or you cheating and misfiring.
Nice. I think this is sort of like the not as fun answer, but like honestly, when I play retro games now, like I would consider save stating cheating, and like I do that all the time. You know what I mean? Like I cheat my way through so many old school games that I'm just like,
amen.
Right? Yeah. I can't survive this.
If they found, then that clap too.
To add to that, the Neo Geo Pocket emulator has a feature where you can literally just rewind, which I think some of the collections add as well.
Mm-hmm.
And I sort of banned that to one of the triggers, so I could just be like, nope, let's go again. Nope, not that way. Nope, one more try.
Absolutely. And one thing that I also think back to when I was a kid, like whenever we played shooters together, couch co-op, you bet I screen cheated, like a screen peek all the time, because come on, they're all doing it. They're like, don't do it. And I was like, well, how'd you find me? I suddenly see it. And like, honestly, it made it more fun because realistically, when you're screen cheating, it's not like you automatically know where they are. You have to have like a pretty good understanding of what the map looks like where everything is in order to figure it out,
Screen peek is barely cheating. Like that is a real grey area because when you're looking at their screen, you're not looking at yours.
Yeah, I was gonna say that there's an actual video game called Screen Cheat, where there is a multiplayer and everyone is invisible, and the only way to know where people are is to look into the screens.
That's
It's brilliant.
And it's pretty fun.
Yeah, I love that. Man, once we're in the after times, I have to play some couch co-op again.
The after time.
That's how I've been calling it. Yeah, I know it's barely cheating, but it technically is, right? But I was going to say, actually, this is something that I do get sort of sad about, is because like back in the day, games would come with cheats like built into them, right? Like, I mean, I think of the GTAs and everything, which they still kind of do that, but like you could like unlock so many things. Like it would be like, oh, there's a cheat for unlimited lives, and there's a cheat for this, there's a cheat for like big heads and stuff. Like remember that was a thing where it'd be like, and Tony Hawk games would do this all the time. Now you could have big heads, or you could have like big skaters, or like little ones, and like you could do all this other stuff. And like now it's just kind of like they're like, modders will do it, and so you know what I mean.
Or you can pay us £1.19 to have that slider. Yeah, I remember playing like Jack 3 with a tiny head, one of the cheats. That was quite fun. And it's just like the body and then this little dot where his head's supposed to be. But this is the thing, like outside of stuff that's already built in, whether that's to the emulator or to the game itself, I don't really cheat. I've never felt the compulsion. The multiplayer stuff I play, like without being arrogant, I'm like good enough to enjoy without feeling the need to cheat. Because I mean, if you talk about things like Call of Duty, for example, and Warzone's got a rampant cheater problem. The people who cheat are pretty bad at the game. That's why they're cheating. That's why they have to cheat. And it's funny because you can see if it's war hacks they're using, for example. You can see when they get into firefight situations, they're actually not that good. You're using it as a crutch in those situations. So I, for one reason or another, have never felt the need to look for cheats. So I'm sort of I was just saying I'm a bad candidate for this question.
I know. I was just gonna say though, you bringing up like PTSD for me, fucking COD, man. Oh my god, the cheaters in those games, man, they're the worst. Like I remember I was like when I was younger in my earlier college days, I played lots of COD because I was a boy and fucking in college, so obviously I played Call of Duty, and like I was pretty good at it, I think too. But my god. There was just so many cheaters in that game. Like, it was just insane. Like, every time, there would just be... And in ways where it's like, like, as simple as, like, spawning and I'm like, and I'm already dead. What? Versus, like, people who just straight up cheated. Like, you're like, hey, did that guy just go through the walls? And you're like, what the hell's going on? Yeah. I don't know. What about you, Paula?
Warzone's terrible for it, though, because it's just before we move on to Paula. Because the map's so big, you'll get sniped from halfway across the map, and like the aimbot's calculated the drop and the everything. It's like, all right, that was a legitimate shot that was totally made on purpose. I believe that. Or like the ones where there's one specific one I remember we played. We got to like the top 10, and the guy had 25 kills or something like that, which is stupid for Warzone. If you're playing as trios, it's kind of crazy if you get that number of kills between the whole team in a winning game.
Oh wow! Okay.
And he had about that many people watching his camera because everyone knew he was cheating. And he'd be looking in one direction and there'd be someone behind him and his camera would immediately zip around and shoot at like this 3-pixel thing that apparently was a person. And it's just so more obnoxious than even on a team deathmatch map, you can tell. Like on a bigger map, it's just obvious. But yeah, sorry, Paula, jump in.
I usually don't cheat in video games because I don't know, like at some point I picked up this I need to do it like by myself, otherwise it doesn't count. But I do like the save state thing, especially like in all platformer games, because I have only so much patience for that, and only so much time too. But some it is less of a cheat, but I'm more like activating a glitch. And that was to get Mew on the red, blue, yellow Pokemon games. Or also, I don't know how. I think it was like connecting like to some server or something like that. And in Pokemon Platinum, you could get like these. I think there are tickets or items that are activated like the legendary events. Well, or quests. And so, since I got late to the party with the 4th generation of Pokemon, I had to resort to connecting to that server and to get like the legendaries and finally like complete the Pokédex. And the other instances where I like use like accelerators and stuff like that, I remember like in Warcraft 3, the Reign of Chaos, there was like this one quest that was, I think it was named the Scourge or something like that, where you have to defend a city that had like 2 or 3 entrances and that were like attacking from all fronts, like in waves or at the same time. It doesn't really. And you have to survive like, I don't remember, it was like half an hour or 45 minutes. I actually tried to cheat and get like more resources to actually survive this stage. At the time I was 10, so I wasn't like really skilled at the game. I was learning how to play it and stuff like that. And I got the resources. And it didn't help me a lot at all because I had to like learn to actually manage my army to do the things as effective as possible. So I was like, well, there goes that. And then like the only like instances where I use like the resources cheat or stuff like that in Warcraft 3 was to test like strategies, but in single player. Like I didn't want to go to the entire game, so I pretty much like use a cheat, go to like late game kind of base, and then like try to see like which strategies were better counters and stuff like that. I'm finding like the Sims too, because like I remember playing The Sims, and there are like a lot of cheats like to just do whatever you fucking want, and it is beautiful. And that kind of game is like, it is like fun at the start, but then it's like, oh, nothing interesting is working, so let's build a mansion. And then it's like, you know what, you've seen like those PvG videos on to kill a character or to kill an avatar. I pretty much like do whatever he did and set up like these death games with my sim, or just set up like stuff to cause general chaos on the Sims house, because I was like, I don't know, it was like weird. Like every sim character like indulges in a little bit of sim genocide, and you can't prove otherwise.
It's okay, we've all done it.
There's also cheats to kind of break the restrictions of the game, so you could cheat and then move stuff that you couldn't without the moving space. I mean, or put stuff in places where there are restrictions and kind of merge a bit objects or move the sims from one place to another. And I think those kind of they really open the opportunities of, well, not only mischief, messing around in general.
Something though, on the topic that you brought up, do we consider glitches in the game exploiting those cheating? Because I don't think we should. I think if it's in the game code, it's legitimate as long as you're not like going in and changing the code. So, like for example, the glitches that people use in speed running times and stuff like that. I think that's fair game.
But at the same time, they are also two distinct categories: glitched runs and non-glitched runs. So they are fair game in some ways, but you also have to be upfront.
Yeah, of course, from the speedrunning perspective. But putting the speedrunning to one side, would you call that cheats?
Yeah, but there's no necessarily moral thing on cheats, right? Like, I think
I'm not saying moral or immoral. I'm saying, do you call it a cheat or not? It's a really
glitch.
straightforward question.
It's a glitch, okay, not a cheat. Yeah, because cheat is inputting things in, right? Like it's like the imposition of something within it. You know what I mean? Like it's like putting in a code. It's like having the assist thing. It's like having the save state. You know what I mean? Whereas like a glitch is like messing with the structure of the game. At least that's how I'm looking at it. I don't know if people agree, right? Because like those speedrunners aren't like inputting at the beginning like super fast mode. You know what I mean? Yeah.
Wow, that backfired because everyone agreed with me.
Yeah.
I wonder if we could boomerang this around on you, Uvehj, and ask you what your best and worst experiences with cheating have been, because I feel like there's maybe a story behind that aspect of the question.
No, I mean, they are really
That's
good.
2 failures for me. That's 2 for 2.
I usually don't play multiplayer, so I don't have much experience with those. And obviously, multiplayer cheating, I think it's a hard boundary and very different. For example, in Sims or SimCity or stuff, and in newer games, for example, Cities Skylines, there is unlimited money by default in the game, and in older games that maybe didn't have that option, I totally used the unlimited money. And then you also start to mess around with the games. For example, we kind of going around to the whole cybercafe stuff. We used to be all the people around a single person playing GTA, for example, and we used to bind all the keys to the arrow keys and the mouse. So while one person was playing the game, the other ones were inputting cheats. So kind of pseudo multiplayer experience. So this person was, for example, running from the police, and it's like, well, now all cars fly, or now a giant bulldozer is right on top of you, and kind of messing with the other person and kind of looking for messing and kind of bothering the other.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I love that kind of asynchronous multiplayer stuff. It's really clever.
Yeah, and I mean, and some more people should. I mean, I'm sure that lots of people did that, because nowadays for GTA 5, for example, there are mods that kind of randomize. They are not cheat exactly, but they are the same. Like, now you're wanted by the police, now the cars float, now all the people are aggressive.
Yeah. Oh, sorry, keep going, Uvehj.
No, I was just saying that I'm sure lots of them will have gotten the idea from doing something similar.
Yeah. It's interesting because I do think like the concept, even like Rick, like what you were mentioning before with glitches and cheats, like cheats are almost kind of gone-ish now. Like, you know, you have exploits, mods, and glitches. You know what I mean? It's like at this point, the input this code for this cheat is like very rare now, right? And
games are complex enough that you can't really. Because like back in the day, you had Game Genies and things like that, didn't you? Where you plug the cartridge in and just mess with the code.
Mm-hmm.
And I know for a fact with GBA emulators and things like that, people share cheats that you can input somehow. Again, it's not something I've done personally, but I know it's a thing. I suppose as the games become more complex and work in different ways, that no longer is as viable as it might have been.
And it just seems
Or
like
I imagine that's
nowadays you got to mess around with cheat engine, for example, which can be a bit iffy depending on what you are looking for.
Well, and with so many games now having online components to it, like even if your game isn't necessarily an online game, there's probably some type of online component that I feel like things that mess with the game are a lot less, like people are less willing to kind of break their games. I mean, back in the day, it's like, you could send out Tony Hawk's Underground and activate moon physics and they're like, whatever, man, you're never updating this thing. Like, you know what I mean? Do whatever you want, break this game, who cares? It's like, didn't really matter. But I guess now, it's kind of a different landscape. It's a little less of a harder to figure out how everyone's playing if you're just allowing them to do all this stuff. But I don't know. I like when they let us mess around in their creations,
I think like the reason of why some cheats like were programmed into the game, it was like for play testing purposes, and then they just left it there, like whatever, who's gonna notice? Players notice and they use them. Which not gonna lie, like some of the funniest moments while playing at a friend's house is from playing GTA with the cheat codes. We pretty much compete who either like who can like survive for the longest time, or who can get like to, was it like 5 stars? I think
5 stars, yeah.
The 5 stars by casting chaos, or like whatever stupid shenanigans we were like up to at that time. We actually like try to make things explode or die in creative ways on that game, and those were good times. It was just pure chaos whenever we sat with GTA. I think it was 3 at the time.
Yeah. The GTA games are like the monarchy of cheats. Like, it's just like, those are the games.
Yeah, and about what Paula said about the developers of the game, I think that's the whole Bethesda strategy. Their games are broken as fuck, but no matter how much it breaks, you can just pull up the terminal and fix whatever it's broken. So in some sense, they have all that extra leeway of people will not be as frustrated because the playthrough is not broken. They can always, no matter what breaks, they can always fix it via the terminal, so they've never removed it.
Yeah,
well, I mean, for the multiplayer.
Bethesda live in a very privileged position as well, where they know their community will fix their game.
Also, it is not a bug; it's a feature.
Oh.
Amazing. I don't know. I think that's a good place to wrap up on that one.
I am sorry.
No, that was great. I mean, I did have one memory. Like, you were talking about multiplayer games of Fall Guys. I remember I was playing it once, and I was doing the going up the mountain thing, and all of a sudden I look next to me, and this guy's just going like up the hill, just flying up there. His little guy flapping, and I went, yeah, that's probably totally normal.
I've never seen it first person, but I know there's been cheats in that one. There's people who give themselves like mega jumps. So you know the one where all the bricks fall away and you have to find the right path.
Yeah.
There's people who just like jump and go flying straight over. And it's like, okay,
I think it was much worse when the game like first started, and I believe it's gotten significantly better as time has gone on. But yeah, I'm sure when it hits Switch and Xbox, there'll be a whole new round of it. But you know, it was still super fun. Okay, why don't we head off to a real fun game, Guess the Game, where the aim of the game is to guess the guest's game. So Uvehj's picked a game for us, and he's going to tell us the times and then read off some of the notes, or at least one first of the completion notes. So Uvehj, take it away.
Okay, so main story, that's 15 and a half.
Okay.
main plus extra 23.5,
Okay.
and completion is 31.5 hours.
Oh.
And the notes read. The first one is no DLCs included. And now I have another 3 that I consider them a pack, and I call them the duality of man. You'll see.
Okay.
The first one reads great storyline. The second one reads piece of shit combat, and the third one reads not much there in terms of quote unquote story, but the combat was badass and super fun.
No! Oh my god!
Can't please everyone.
I have a slight
Oh.
a slight thought for this, but I'm not entirely sure because this sounds.
I'm gonna Hail Mary a guess because I think it feels like it might be Shadow of Mordor.
It is.
What the fuck?
That's 2 for 2.
How are you doing this, Rick? Damn.
Oh, Rick, how? That told me like fucking nothing.
Do you know what? It's just the times. I had a feeling because I beat it. I 100%ed it in like 33 hours.
Oh, okay. So
you said 2.5.
damn it, we're getting all these games that Rick's beaten.
We have to have a rule for the next guess. I don't get to guess for like 2 rounds.
That was a good one though. I love the duality of man. My God,
Yep.
those were good completion
Oh.
notes. Great story, bad combat. Okay, story, good. Oh wow, fuck, that's good. I thought it was. I was actually leaning into the Deus Ex area. I kind of thought it might have been. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, that was
Yeah.
the whole idea of the hint to say that it was a bit controversial. People have strong different opinions about it.
Right?
Yeah, I have to. I lean with the story bullshit, combat great side of things
Yeah.
personally.
Yeah.
I thought you were messing with me. You won't have heard it in the audio, listeners at home. But Uvehj, when I said it, gave me a little eye bulge, and I thought it was messing with me. Like, oh no, not really. Oh wow,
That was
that's
awesome.
such a rush. What the fuck?
That was a good one. That was a really good one. All right. Let's move on then to How Long to Beat the Game. I think you just heard a wonderful new little jingle by former guest Dune and the creator of our intro and outro music. So every week you hear his beautiful dulcet tones.
Artist name Ian Edwards, if anyone
Yes.
wants to hit him up for stuff of their own. But yeah, so
All
this
right.
is your editing week, Alex. So tell us what game.
This is a good one, I think. Just randomize it. It's Dead Island, the original.
Ooh.
The Zombie Island game. I have no idea.
It's a special type of game where the trailer like outperforms the game itself on every rubric.
The trailer for this game was awesome. Like that was a great little short film. The game itself is fine. Like there are some real fans of this game out there, I think.
I did enjoy it, for example.
Wait, can you say the name of the game again?
Dead
Dead
Island.
hear it. Oh, Dead Island. Okay.
Yeah, Dead Island. Zombie game. You know, it was around that time when zombie games were huge. 2011. Although I feel like, was Dead Island? I can't remember if it was riding the wave of zombie stuff or if we were already getting a little tired of zombie stuff at that point.
I feel like it was peak zombie when it came out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it definitely was because Walking Dead started in 2010 and this came out in 2011 and that was like zombie mania.
And Telltale's The Walking Dead came out around the same time.
Yeah.
And they were like the trifecta.
Yeah.
If you can count two The Walking Deads as of the three. But, you know.
Yeah. I remember it was open world-ish.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right, so I'm going to jump in feet first. I feel like it doesn't matter. I won the other game, so it doesn't matter how I win this one. I'm going to put 10 hours for main. And I'm going to put 14 hours for main plus, and that's it. I don't trust myself to guess 100% time in this one.
Yeah.
What would 100% look like in the terms of how much content?
I haven't got a clue. That's why I haven't guessed.
I see.
Side quests.
Oh,
And
okay.
DLC, maybe.
Well, in fact, we can pick your brain there because you've played this game. Is it open world or is it more linear?
It's completely open world.
Yeah, I
So-
played it
Is the
too.
open world big? Is the open world big?
Not sure.
He's holding his cards close to his chest. He's playing this game to win.
But this is
Well,
ages
I can
ago.
tell you my time if you want. Yeah, I played it back in the Xbox 360.
Same.
Like 2010 or so. So
Yeah, that's fine. I've cast my.
So I'll say main story 7 hours and completion is 15.
Main story 7, and you're gonna go completionist 15. Did you want a main plus?
No, I'm already not very sure about completion.
Yeah, I'm. I know. I'm like a little.
Excuse me.
I see. I remember playing this a bit, and I think I retired it because I think this was a pretty big fucking game. And there was just like so much of like, because there's like a day-night cycle, I think, in it. And it was like nighttime, you get screwed. I just remembered it's not necessarily a long game, I don't think, but I just kind of felt like it was difficult at the very least to progress. But I don't know. Let's see. I'm going to do main plus 13 and a half hours. Main, I'll do.
Those half.
I'll do. 10 and a half hours, maybe.
Everyone messing around with these 30-minute
Yeah.
intervals, honestly.
All right, are we ready to find out? So,
Quite possibly. Paula,
Well, I guess
hang on,
in-
before we go. Did you want to put a half hour? I was going to say, because you put it on mine by accident. I
Yeah,
don't know if
I'm
you did want
trying
to get
like
to
to. I want to do the 3 times, but I'm not entirely sure. So
'Cause you
I
want that-
think. Oh,
that big buffer.
so while you're
That big
fishing
boy
that,
buffer.
Rick's got main 10 hours, main plus 14 hours. I'm going with main 10 and a half hours and main plus 13 and a half hours. Uveh's got main 7, 100% 15. And Paula right now has main 9 and a half hours, main plus 16 hours, 100% 19 and a half hours. All right. Locked
That's
in.
locked in.
I'm scared.
Let's do this. Whoa, I was right. It's a long game. Main story, 18 and a half hours. Main plus
Go
extras,
for it.
27 and a half hours. Completionist, 47 and a half hours. Yeah, the half
Yeah,
hours was smart.
massively
Oh, screwed here.
I knew, yeah.
Yeah, I feel slightly responsible. I feel like I skewed everyone short.
No, it's okay. I had like, dude, I genuinely had no idea. Like, I was like, I just knew it was long. I remember it being like a big game, but I never beat it. So it's like, I don't know.
Yeah, I mixed it up maybe with Dead Island Riptide, which is kind of the standalone expansion, and that one was pretty short in comparison.
Yeah.
I mean, I also thought that it was this big open world, but there's not that much to do in it, so that you kind of mostly do the main missions, but not the case, apparently.
Yeah. All right. Well, that's everything for this week. Thank you for tuning in. Thank you for joining us, Uvehj. We'll see you all next week. And that's it. Toodles.
Cheery, bye.
Bye.
Bye.